All right, we are headed in for my second session. Last time, I feel like I barely did anything, and somehow my arms hurt for 3 days. All right, I made it on time. Oh yeah.
We're gonna warm up, do some arms today. Okay, work some arm movements, show you guys some of the movements that I like to do. I really like warming up with the TRX. I'll do like 3 to 4 sets of maybe 15 reps to really just try to get some blood flow.
Yeah.
This mat on the ground is an awesome opportunity to kind of just gauge where you're at and actually be aware of how am I able to progress with this TRX? Yeah, you can take a gander at it and say, was I at this angle? Maybe, but when you have this mat, you can literally say, okay, last time when I did this movement, I was at this yellow line. Let me try to push my pace a little bit and move in more or come on back. Try to keep that pulled down and back, and then let's just work through about maybe 10 or 12 reps. I'll go, you go. So first movement, this is just a supinated bicep curl. You're gonna feel more in your biceps because the wrists are facing up the whole time. Pull your shoulder blades down and back, good. Now maintain that. Now just bend your elbow like a hinge. Squeezing up, and then nice and easy coming back down. Perfect. All you're focusing on is trying to get that bicep to lengthen out at the bottom. And then when you get to the top, yep. And then squeezing it. But the hard thing is keeping that shoulder blade down and back.
Especially when you're like fully extended.
Exactly, yep. So just by doing what you're doing right there, you're gonna start to create a whole nother level of posture control through your upper back. That's gonna make a huge difference. As we get through a lot of these movements today though, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, like I see where it's coming into play. Let's get 3 more. Now, just like you'd swing a hammer, we're gonna keep it's called a neutral wrist, keep our wrist just like this. Now, that's gonna get into what's called a brachioradialis. That's this muscle that splits in between the upper arm and the lower arm. It's really important. And it's just gonna help build this muscle on top of your forearm. So as you step in, about the same angle, now watch how, once again, I'm pulling these shoulders down and back. But now as I come up, I'm keeping the wrists facing one another the whole time. Work that hammer, yep, good. And then yep, just like that. And you're still gonna get into that bicep, but now I like to really just kind of focus on this. I'm trying to
keep my wrist straight too.
Exactly.
Like not just twisted straight, like from actually bending down towards the ground even.
Once you get these forearms real strong, it opens up a whole nother level of strength. I mean, look at gorillas, dude.
Yeah.
They're the beasts, you know? They pick animals up and just toss them.
Those are tough as shit.
Yeah, oh, they're hard. They're really hard.
Especially like you showing the form is like, that's something I question so much just by myself.
All right, so now we'll work into a tricep extension. So tricep, okay, back of the arm. A lot of people want big arms and they're focusing all on their bicep, which is a portion of it, but your tricep is actually 2/3 of your arm. So when you grow that tricep, and we're moving into sweater weather, right, in the winter, you put that sweater on, you build that tricep up a little bit more, fills out that shirt, drive through. I'm getting a lot of ab out of this, which is cool. And of course, as I step back, right, this is gonna make it more challenging. But this is basically like a body weight. If you've heard of a skull crusher before, this is basically a body weight skull crusher. Now it's like, all right, I'm having a little trouble. Yeah, I can move forward, or I can throw out what's called a tripod And then now I still have my weight forward, but this is allowing me to just continue the set, because if I stepped forward with both feet, now I'm starting to limit the ability to come all the way back through, because I'm standing straight up and down. So when I keep that lean, but just put that tripod out, I'm still leaning forward the entire time, and I'm actually getting quite a bit of leg work out of that as well. Dropping in, excellent, and push. This is, for those of you that don't know what a superset is, it's just basically 2 movements done back to back with limited to no rest between. You can do them as antagonistic muscles, which is what we're about to do, biceps and triceps. Those usually work together because they don't compete against one another. So when I'm working my bicep, my tricep isn't working. It's an antagonistic muscle. So once I've fried this thing, now I can say, cool, now let me go attack this. And you can almost bounce back and forth without really resting a whole lot, because you're not diminishing anything from the next muscle coming up. So what we're gonna do here is an incline bicep curl, and then like a sort of incline tricep extension, but I'm gonna kind of show you my spin on it, which is just a little more stretch. So we jump down into our bench here. Now, what I was telling you in the beginning, you gotta get your shoulder blades down and back and keep them down and back. So when you jump in here, okay, you're gonna see me kind of trying to work my shoulder blades down and back. Now from here, I gotta keep that tightness the whole time. So it's like I'm pinching a pencil between my shoulder blades. Now I'm gonna open up my wrist to the outside, hug my triceps to the bench, and then now I'm just gonna work a nice, beautiful bicep curl. Really, really stretching out my bicep, and I'm getting a phenomenal stretch right where my chest and kind of the front of my shoulder meet. As you're doing this movement, try to avoid pulling your elbows up like this. You gotta keep everything tight, and I'm almost trying to hug the bench with my triceps. And then I'm just bending and squeezing. So this would be the first movement. Typically I'd work through about maybe 12 to 15 reps. Then I would go ahead and work myself up top of the bench like this. So I'm no longer sitting on the bench. I'm actually on the incline now. Okay, now, because I want my shoulder blades to get down and back, and I want to be on top of this thing. Now, I understand if I wanted to really just isolate my triceps, I want to keep my upper arm relatively still and just bend the elbow like a hinge. But I'm trying to bring in a lot of muscle, and I enjoy the stretch. So watch this. As I come down, I'm gonna let all of this drop in. Oh, yes. And just all of that tissue mobilize. And now, shoulder blades down and back, keep them down and back, press through. Superset, incline bicep curl. And then this is just the incline dumbbell tricep extension, but we're adding kind of a deep stretch.
I got a little back.
Yeah. So the good news, as you get stronger too, but gravity's gonna help, right? As the weights get a little heavier, it's gonna help pull you down, you know, deeper and deeper. So let's get one more set. And I wanna show you an important thing about an incline bicep curl. So, as you're doing this, a lot of people will do incline bicep curls, but a quick little bicep tip while I'm thinking about it is, when you train your biceps, you want to create 3 different positions with your elbow reference your body. You want your elbow to be behind the body, and you want to curl like this. Then you want your elbow to be in line with your body, and you're curling like this. And then you also want to have your elbow in front of the body and curling like this. So very simply put, when you're constructing your bicep routine, think about that. So it's like, am I always doing movements where my arms are at my side? A preacher curl, when you set, you know, your elbows on that bench, now my elbows are what? In front of the body.
Absolutely.
So on the incline bicep curl, the elbows are behind the body, which a lot of times is the neglected range. So as I tuck down and back, I need to keep my arms and elbows behind the body. And then now just bend the elbow like a hinge. But you'll see this a lot where somebody curls and they're doing an incline bicep curl, but what am I doing with my elbow here? I'm pulling it forward, right? So if I'm finishing like this, it's no different than me just curling like this.
Right.
So I need to make sure that I'm keeping the integrity of these elbows and triceps to the back wall while I'm just moving that elbow and squeezing the crap every time out of the bicep at the top. So if you can't perform the movement without maintaining that elbow back position, the weight's too heavy. This is another one of my favorite arm supersets. So this is just a TRX. My feet are in the foot cradles. I'm using a bench here. Rather than my feet being on the ground, yeah, I could stack them up on a bench. But with this TRX, it's fun because you have the capacity to do other stuff here. So as I'm dipping down into the bench, I can now move and pull these in. But just for the purposes of arm day here, I'm just stretching and using these feet to anchor me. I'm not doing anything with them.
What I really liked about that one was I was feeling a nice leg stretch while
oh yeah, you get a nice
arm.
That nice hammy stretch.
Felt good on
so with this here, this is kind of like what I would call like a standard hand position. Then you sit on your thumbs. This is going to work a little different portion of the elbow as I'm dropping in and working through there, so you can do reps like this. Okay? And then last but not least, which I think is the most challenging, is where you actually bring your thumbs all the way touching and almost overlapping one another. And then now working dips like this.
The diamond position.
Exactly. And it's all strengthening the elbow. But I mean, you can work through several reps of these and just absolutely look at the back of the arms. You know, as I'm working through this, it's just totally gassing everything out. So when I come from here, there's my tricep. Now I move over this. So this is your Olympic. We got a little, look at that, you can almost see it. Got a little ab contraction here. There we go. Just cramped out on me. So I use 3 different positions typically during my set. I go wide. Okay, that's hands just outside the power ring. And I'll do between 5 and 8 reps every hand position. So pull the shoulder blades down and back, lock that in. And then now we're curling. And I'm just bending like a hinge. 2, boom, 3, 4, 5. Try to keep everything tight. 6, perfect, 7. Let's do one more. 8. Now we'll keep the bicep in the hand. Bring it in a little bit. Re-engage, shoulders down and back. 8, 7, 6. Feeling the burn. 5, 4. Don't need a ton of weight. 3, just get the squeeze. 2, the weight will come. Boom, 1. Last but not least, bring it in, use your body almost as its own preacher curl. And then now just go to work. 1, boom, 2, 3, 4. This will smoke you. 5, have those arms quivering. 6, but keep working. 7, one more, good squeeze. 8, and then work that last negative always down. Nice and slow. Nice, good stretch, good. Outside of the palm. 5, perfect. 4, nice. Good. 3, another 5. Take it in. Here we go. Perfect. 1, beautiful. 2, real good. 3, perfect. Good. There's 4, one more. Down and up. Boom.
I am totally out of breath.
Do a quick little form. I know, right? I'm out of breath. I'm out of breath. Now for this one, you don't have to, but if you're using a heavier load, it helps to have a buddy that hands you the bar that we're gonna be sending back behind this. Now a cable is awesome in the respect that it always wants to pull back to its anchor point. So therefore you always have constant tension. All right, so once again, I wanna get my shoulder blades down and back. All right, ready, set. Now here we go. Now, unlike the first movement where I was letting my hands go way back behind me, now I'm staying pretty strict.
Keeping them forward.
Of just kind of just bending that elbow like a hinge. Dropping in, press. So as I'm doing this, again, I'm trying to keep the bar that I have in my hand more in the palm of my hand and not in the fingertips.
Gotcha.
And as I'm going through this, I'm getting tired fast. Let's try for 3 more. 3. 2. Stretch. Oh, yes. That's about all she wrote. All right, now, as I'm tired as hell, now I'll take a weight. Let's see what we got. Let's try 35 here. And I'm gonna get 2 of them. And I'm gonna position my elbows right in front of the body. Okay, and now I'm gonna work in the state-of-the-art Think Fitness studio here, my homemade preacher curl. Now as you're doing this, you wanna make sure that your forearm angle never gets vertical, because then tension is lost in the bicep. For example, right here, this is a rest.
Gotcha.
In terms of building and shaping our body, we want to make it hard. So I usually put my head forward like this, and I wouldn't usually have a hat on maybe, and I bring it up. You got to be careful, but I bring it up basically to my head, and then I can't cheat, because trust me, I want to cheat. So stretch and squeeze. I might have 1 or 2 more stretch. Squeeze. Wow, you guys see these things? They're getting tired. Maybe 1 more. Wow.
Hell yeah.
And that is an effective, woo, superset. Okay, feeling pretty flexed out and pumped right now. All the way up to here. And then keep this upper arm like it's in a vice and just bend the elbow down and then drive. Perfect. Beautiful. See if you can get about 10 to 15 reps. 2. Perfect. But you can't cheat this motherfucker.
Yeah,
3.
okay.
Okay, then watch this. 4. Let me take it. Let me take it. Stand by. Hold on. And then you drive through. Perfect. Down and up. Down and up. Awesome. Isolation. Bam.
Gotcha.
Perfect. Now.
And then I don't want to come all the way
Not all the way out, no.
Not
No.
all the way out. and
Not all the way out, yeah. So
Right.
lean your head forward more. Good.
Yeah.
That's about it. Because then now, that's going to go ahead and basically limit the ability for you to cheat.
Do I want to keep them together? Or?
No, ideally you want to separate them. If you get tired in the last couple reps, you needed to bring them together. That's gonna make you more stable. But what do we wanna do? We wanna make it challenging. We wanna make each arm work individually. Because you'll typically find that one arm a lot of times is a little stronger than the other. And that's why when you use something like an Olympic barbell, your dominant arm is always gonna take precedence. So that's why this type of training, you got 3 or 4 more in you, is gonna be good because it forces you to say, buckle up, let's roll. Come on, here we go. Good, now put them together. Squeeze them together and give me 2 more. Ready, look at that. Good. Yep, nice good stretch. And squeeze, let's get 1 more. This is for the kids at home. Come on, stretch it out. Squeeze it in. Beautiful set, Keith. Beautiful set.
That's vicious.
Yeah, it is.
I love it.
You right? Now everybody likes Popeye and everybody wants Popeye forearms. So we're gonna work a little forearm here. Flexors, your forearm flexors, underneath. Boom, flex. And then extensors, extend up top. Okay, so your flexors are down low, extensors are on top of the arm. We're gonna work both of them in a superset. It's gonna be gnarly. And then I had this awesome, I call it Brian's hammer. I had a friend weld this for me. It's only 20.4 pounds, but as you can tell, it's very off center. So when we do something with this, it's gonna be quite a different feeling. So we're gonna go ahead and grab this straight bar. I like to keep my hands pretty close together. Elbows need to stay down on the bench. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this fall all the way out, down into my fingertips, and then my idea is pull these knuckles to try to touch my forearms. As you can see, I'm nowhere close, but that's what I'm thinking. Stretch down into the fingertips, squeeze. Stretch and squeeze. And the goal is to keep this barbell as symmetrical and parallel as possible and not let one side dip lower than the other. Doesn't 100% always work out that way, but while I'm doing this, as I stretch down, my elbows want to pop up. I'm actively driving my elbows down so that that doesn't happen. I'm keeping these down so that I can get a bigger stretch in the wrist. Because if I let my elbows pop up, then my wrist doesn't get the stretch that it gets right there. So I don't know what number I'm on here, but I'm getting a really good squeeze and my forearms are starting to fatigue out. A lot of times at the top, I'll come up here and then I'll kind of just like sort of work some pulses, which really, really gas everything out. And then I'm gonna let this drop. So this now, I feel like I can barely almost make a fist. But then the fun thing about it is we're gonna go ahead and jump right into the opposite side of that forearm. And now I'm gonna do the extensors. So now you take your easy bar, you set up just like this, grab right where that bevel is. Now I wanna point those knuckles down and then I'm flexing up. Point the knuckles down. Once again, what am I doing with my elbows? Keeping them pushed down so I can get that maximum stretch as I'm working through here. Perfect. So as I work through maybe 15 or 20 of these, then I would take Brian's hammer right there and I would work through about maybe 8 to 10 rotations on each side with that. Just for time's sake here, let's get 3 more. And I like to always, with these, try to kind of finish with like a hold at the top and pulse. Like right now, I got not much left, but it's like at the top of that forearm is just absolutely smoked. I mean, I can barely do anything right here with the hands. But then we have this guy. Woo! Now, lever arm. Further I hold down here, the harder it becomes immediately. All right, I've already done quite a bit, but now what we're doing here is once again, the elbow has to stay down. But then now I'm just rotating this wrist, bringing this way, and then sending it back. And this rotation, you'll feel all of this stuff happening where I'm trying to get as big to get this almost parallel with the ground, and then I'm bringing it back the other way. Perfect. And remember, it's like you got 2 full glasses of water at the edge of both of these bars. You're trying not to spill those. Trying to keep that as balanced as you possibly can. Perfect. Getting a really dope stretch. Coming up and getting a big squeeze. Bam. Perfect. Getting a huge stretch. Coming in, getting a really dope squeeze. Look at that. Boom. Forearms. Okay, again, you look at like a silverback gorilla, man. Those guys are constantly using their forearms. Good, go one more, roll it over. Perfect, good, bring it back. Excellent, good. Now get some with this side. Yep, keep the, flat. It's just that rotation. Yep, good.
Somehow my stronger arm.
Well, if we would have done this first, maybe the right would have been better, you know what I mean? That's why when we do these multiple sets, you remember which one you go first. Yep, rotate, good.
Yeah,
and bring it back.
The stronger one. It doesn't make sense.
Turn, and then all the way through. Bam.
Oh
Great set. I think we did 3 bicep, tricep supersets, and then we did 1 forearm like tricep. And I like to keep things fun and fresh. Of course, there's some repetitive stuff, but like, I couldn't even tell you how many supersets I have in my brain. You know what I mean? It's like, let's try something new. You know, it can be a similar thing, but can there be a different variation? Right. Can we do the same dumbbell movements that we had, except we have fat grips now that we have on there? Yeah. We can do a lot of stuff with these TRXs, as you know, but it's just
stay in the game and just drop weight or something like that.
It's just, but it's keeping it fresh, and it's like, cool. What did I do last time? Try to be mindful of it. Okay, have a little bit of a plan, but have some fun at the same time. And it's like, cool, let's do some different stuff. Then when you come back to it, the cool thing is, even without sometimes practicing that exact movement, the fact that you're doing other stuff feeds into it. And then you're like, whoa, I didn't even do that low cable overhead tricep extension for a month, but I came back to it. And like, now I'm just like rocking with it. You know, those dips, maybe we haven't done those in 3 weeks, but then you come back to it after doing all these other things, and we're strengthening and we're tightening, and the tendons and the muscles and the ligaments, and then you come back to it and you're like, whoa, I feel so much more powerful, and it's not even something that you're training on a weekly basis.